From pleading guilty to money laundering to being unapologetic about failing drug tests and taking banned substances, here's a look inside Chael Sonnen's extensive criminal history. First, let's start with his real estate case. Spoiler alert, he was guilty. I'll prepare you beforehand. This fighter's record is anything but clean. Honestly, it feels like he's done everything under the sun. Let's first look at the money laundering, taking it back to 2010 when he was working as a real estate agent. He bought a home in Oregon, and things must have been going bad for him because he actually paid it off with a fraudulent loan. Then he sold the house to his mom without telling her the way he bought it.
My name is Chael Sonnen, and I am the world's toughest son of a...
The legal details of this are a little confusing, but I'll break it down for you. Basically, he used a fake company as a front for the loan he got. Under that company, he paid a plumbing service $69,000 for some repairs on the Portland house. In the legal release, Sonnen stated that he knew there weren't any actual repairs. Ultimately, he was sentenced to a $10,000 fine and 2 years of probation. A user on Reddit called him Chael Sonnen. That's not it, though. The stiff penalties he had to face were the chances of a $500,000 fine and 20 years in prison. Another broker was charged with him for setting up more than 70 fake loans, too. If this surprised you, you'll be even more shocked to know that he was doing something else illegal at the same time. Sit tight while I tell you about his suspension in 2011. Sonnen's case of too much testosterone. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Looks like he fell off real bad because the UFC suspended him for a whole year. Why? Well, after his fight with Anderson Silva at UFC 117, he tested for abnormally high levels of testosterone and epitestosterone.
The development of this new anti-doping policy is an important early step in our commitment and process.
The thing is, there's a whole set of rules and paperwork you've got to follow when it comes to drug use, even for medical purposes. Though some people think the UFC and the USADA take drug tests too lightly. They're pretty strict sometimes.
UFC's goal for this policy is to have the best anti-doping program in all of professional sport.
The American gangster told ESPN that he conveniently left out the detail that he takes testosterone in the pre-fight drug usage list.
Under this policy, we'll create a strong deterrent effect against the use of performance-enhancing drugs.
For a reason you're not gonna believe. He said he was too embarrassed to write it down. According to him, he didn't have a problem with telling the world he was taking tea, but he didn't want to because he didn't want to relive his youth. He literally said that it was gonna be too painful to talk about how he didn't go through puberty like other guys. Apparently, he had notified the UFC about his hormone replacement therapy, but the paperwork got lost. Anyway, they still suspended him for a year, but ultimately cut it down to a 6-month break. That being said, this isn't as bad as the other drugs he's taken and proudly flaunted. Don't believe me? Well, just wait till I tell you about how he used 2 banned substances in 2014. In June of that year, he failed 2 random drug tests, but these performance-enhancing drugs are like no other. He tested positive for HGH, which is human growth hormone, and is used for patients with breast cancer. Not only that, but EPO and HCG as well. The thing is, you can't really classify HCGs as PEDs because they stimulate testosterone after steroid use. Anyway, they're still banned by the UFC. The Nevada State Athletic Commission ended up banning him for 2 years because of it. Potentially a career-wrecking move, I'll say. The craziest thing is, the fighter showed absolutely no regret. I don't think I've ever seen anyone more proud to use PEDs than Sonnen. Chael said he had nothing to say sorry for. He spoke about this situation on his podcast, You're Welcome, and he had a lot to say. First of all, he was shocked at how many people were asking him to apologize. He didn't think he had anything to apologize for because he said he was a consenting adult and knew what he was doing. Sonnen went on to say that he took the drugs on his own, and as long as a police officer didn't tell him not to, he didn't. He wasn't going to ask the commission for permission. Well, look where that got him. The thing is, the World Anti-Doping Agency's rules are very clearly spelled out on their website. Just because because PEDs may not be illegal as per the government, they're still banned for out-of-competition use. When you throw in the fact that he was using these drugs in competition, the ban makes complete sense. So yeah, that adds to his criminal record. That's why you always gotta read the fine print, folks. Actually, this wasn't even that hard to miss. It's literally right there in the rules, bold as ever. If you found this move ballsy, you won't believe what he said on his YouTube channel about EPO. Sonnen said EPO is his favorite drug. It's one thing to get suspended over PEDs, and another to brag about how good the drugs were for you. That being said, Chael does have the right to say whatever he wants about his drug experience. After all,
I'm an expert in performance enhancers for all the wrong reasons, but an expert nonetheless. EPO, without question, is my favorite.
it is his own YouTube channel. He talked about how all the substances from GNC and pharmacies, you know, the ones they allow, are all useless and they don't really do you any good. But EPO does. He explained that the drug increases your red blood cells only, so it doesn't make you any leaner, more muscular, or any stronger, contrary to popular belief.
A guy that takes EPO, particularly in training, can now just train longer. He can hit the bag that many times more.
It just makes you better at enduring. If someone takes it, they can go on training for hours. Honestly, he was making a really good case for a banned substance.
And if you take EPO, you want to take that with iron and with vitamin C. It's the iron that you need, and it grows over time.
To the point where he was telling his viewers that it leaves your system within 72 hours. That makes it harder to get caught. Plus, the benefits last way longer than any normal PED since they stay for up to 8 weeks. So yes, super effective and his favorite drug of all time, which, need I remind you, is banned for all these reasons. Anyway, this wasn't the end of the former UFC star's criminal history. In 2022, he faced multiple charges, but for another crime. Yep, he was charged with 11 counts of battery. Here's the thing about MMA. 1, it's between 2 consenting adults who treat fighting as a sport and art. 2, it should never be taken advantage of. Looks like the American gangster didn't do his research at all. If you think 11 counts is a lot, you'll be surprised to know he was also charged with a felony. This happened in 2022, but stems from an incident in Las Vegas back in December 2021. Reports said that he attacked 6 people and strangled another man all in the same night. This was at the Four Seasons Hotel, and apparently, it wasn't even the result of a fight. According to the victim's lawsuit, Sonnen attacked him without any provocation whatsoever in the hotel lobby. That's just another level of crazy. He allegedly punched one guy, brutally kicked another, punched some other dude right in the face, and kneed the next one, and as I mentioned before, strangled another guy, which is intense, because we all know how quickly someone can end a life by strangulation. When this happened, he was working as an analyst for ESPN. Of course, they dropped him there and then, saying that he wasn't going to appear on the channel anymore after the charges. Well, there you have it. That's all about Chael Sonnen's extensive criminal history.
You know, you got to go out and perform. You got to bring your skills. You got to stay focused. You got to be tough. You got to be in shape.